Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. More than 70 illegal miners have died at gold miner Harmony Gold's Eland shaft in the Free State, while almost 300 illegal miners have been brought to surface in the past 2 weeks. These people have been charged and will be criminally prosecuted. Illegal mining in South Africa has been taking place for a number of years, but is intensifying with the recent surge in the gold price. With me in the studio today is Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer to tell us more about this. Welcome to the show, Martin.
Hi, Shannon.
Can you tell us where illegal mining is the most active?
Yeah, the two focal points are the Free State and Barberton and in Mpumalanga. The gold is actually visible, so it's more popular. And we have had a situation where 20 miners died there earlier this year. So the real total is somewhere around 96 people dead, which is way ahead of the official death tolls in the officially run mines.
Well, how are they gaining access to these sites, though?
They gain access through old shafts, old vertical shafts, and they gain access through adits, the entrances to old areas. And of course, because we've been mining for so many years, our ground is like a Swiss cheese. It's full of holes. And to try and plug all of them is quite a problem. But certain efforts have been made where they've actually plugged adits and they've plugged shafts with steel reinforced concrete, 5 meters depth. And these miners are so eager to get access to this illegal gold, they actually blast their way through. In other occasions, mines have actually placed guards, they've placed sentries around areas of known access. And it is not uncommon for guards to be offered 1,000 Rand bribe in order to get through. So the risk to reward ratio is quite interesting. I think that although the risk is huge, the rewards must be quite good for these illegal miners.
So what type of security measures besides those have been employed by the miners?
Well, the police are refusing to go underground because there was recently a shootout. So it's deep, dark and dangerous, in a typical form. And now police are saying, well, is it our duty to really go down here and ferret these people out? So what has been happening is that mining companies have been paying private security firms huge amounts of money to actually go underground and bring people up. And then once they are on surface, the police are quite willing to then arrest them. And some of the jail sentences have been increased, from 6 months to a year. But they're finding that people come out of jail after a year, and a lot of them come back into this business of illegal mining. And the problem is that there are several tiers of illegal activity. In fact, the Institute of Strategic Studies, they said there are 5 different levels. And no arrests have taken place at the top level. So all the arrests are taking place at the lower level. But it is clear that these criminal gold thieving ringleaders are feeding, they're clothing, they're equipping, and they're even arming these people because shootouts have taken place underground. And if you threaten some of these miners underground, they actually open fire without much provocation, in fact. So it's become a very dangerous situation. And then when police have gone down, it gets even worse because the possibility of a lot of shooting underground can unsettle the whole structure and cause fall of ground.
How much gold do you think is being lost through these activities? Well,
the Institute of Strategic Studies was the only one brave enough to come up with an educated guess, and it can only be a guess. But they were talking about 35.6 tons. So, they must have worked it out pretty carefully. But that was a total a few years ago, and I think there was also a lot of theft, not only from mines, but from gold plants, etc. So, but then if we work on 30 ton, we're talking about between, 8 billion Rand and 10 billion Rand. It's quite a lot of money. And not only that, what some miners want to see is that the actual higher tier activity is brought to book. Because when they have gathered intelligence and they've followed vehicles, they have found delivery into what we call respectable gold licensed premises of jewelers, etc. They've even got hidden cameras, have even taken footage of transactions taking place in reputable jewelry houses. So I think that the police need to extend their investigation, because they've also seen on makeshift airstrips. So you go out to a farm in Mpumalanga and you see this makeshift airstrip. When they've followed some of the gold, they've seen it be placed into aircraft, and then these aircraft take off, often on their way to Maputo or Mozambique. And the suspicion is that their next flip is off to Switzerland.
So now what is government doing then to combat these?
Well, the new minister, Susan Shabanga, she is known for some harsh statements. When she was Minister of Safety and Security, she was putting her foot down against criminal activity. In fact, Susan Shabanga, now the Minister of Mines, has vowed to rid the country of this scourge. But of course, there are also other voices coming through, and we noticed that the trade unions have put the blame fairly and squarely on mine management. And I think that it's about time that instead of pointing fingers, they had a joint South African incorporated body, a task force, a private sector task force made up of the golden triangle of business, labour and government. Create a nice task force and let's get rid of this once and for all.
Sounds like a novel.
It does. I think it's material for a novel.
Definitely. Thank you for joining us, Martin.
Great, Shannon. Thanks for the opportunity.
That's the show for today. Join us again next time as we take an in-depth look at the mining world's premier projects, industries and business personalities.